Good afternoon, media, coaches, fellow owners. The reason that we are here today is the allegations on the illegal trade activity by team owner Mallory Tuck Jr. The background of this event: on week 8, Mr. Tuck tried to trade 8 or more of his worst players with Jamie Smith and Jamie Smith's 8 best players. A couple of the other owners notified me, the commissioner, about this. I looked into it and determined that this was completely unfair. Mr. Smith had stopped paying attention to the league, hadn't adjusted his roster since the second week. He really didn't know anything about fantasy football or how it worked. So it seemed as though Mr. Tuck had just approached him, said, "Hey, give me your worst player. You're not in it anymore. Give me your best players. I'm going to give you my worst players. Go ahead and accept this trade," which Mr. Smith did. However, once I was able to look into this as the commissioner, the ESPN app gives me the right to, when a vote this large happens, to either veto it or okay it. And so after talking with Mr. Tuck, I let him know that I vetoed the vote. You cannot go to someone that is no longer in playoff contention and have them trade their best players for your worst players. I notified Mr. Tuck about this. He admitted to trying to trade his 8 players for Mr. Smith's 8 players. Apologized, said that he didn't know that was wrong, but that he wouldn't do it again. So I trusted him and I said, okay. Week 9, Mr. Tuck went and traded one of his scrub jabroni running backs that hadn't been getting any playing time for Mr. Smith's Saquon Barkley. Now, at the time, Mr. Saquon Barkley had been injured or had just been coming back from injury and wasn't a huge factor, but he was the top running back prospect of the draft. He did not have much of an effect for the rest of the regular season in our fantasy league, but come playoff time, Saquon Barkley, had a huge effect in the semifinals and is currently having a huge effect in the finals for how these playoffs are turning out. It must be pointed out that it was the league commissioner's job, my job, to make sure that these illegal trades like this don't happen. I was able to catch the 8-person trade, but for whatever reason, under our investigation, we still haven't figured out why this didn't pop up, but I wasn't able to catch it. And so that is completely my fault. To make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future, next year we will vote in, after the draft, an assistant commissioner that will help oversee any issues that may arise like this. At this point, I need to make it clear how important it is to maintain the integrity of our league. To try and convince another owner that clearly isn't playing anymore to trade their best player for a scrub who is dishonest clearly isn't playing anymore to trade their best player for a scrub is dishonest at best and cheating at worst. After much deliberation, meditation, and intense prayer, the league has decided upon the following consequences. Team Tuck's current success will not be affected. Any winnings that he's earned this season will remain unaltered. So if he wins the championship, he will get the full amount of money, and nobody's money is going to change. The league office took into account that technically he snitched on himself and also admitted to his actions immediately via group text without trying to hide evidence. Now, according to Mr. Tuck, he said that he has done nothing wrong, but according to the league standards, we say otherwise. That being said, there is no doubt that the actions and the trade itself were dishonest and clearly goes against the ethical and moral standards of the league. Therefore, the following 3 sanctions will be levied against Team Tuck. First, if Tuck chooses to remain in the league next year, his first draft pick, regardless of the order that he chooses it in, must be a kicker. 2, whatever place Team Tuck ends up in this year will forever have an asterisk attached to it, so that history will forever know of his actions. 3, If Tuck ends up winning the championship, the trophy will not go to him, but instead be locked away in the league office until next year's winner is crowned. The league and myself do not arrive to these decisions lightly, and hope that future dishonesty will be snuffed out before being acted upon. This concludes our press conference. Thank you for your time. God bless America, and go Lions.